Hello, welcome to MMA Talk Hub 2023 Season 2. My name is Huy Pencil. I'm from Pencil Group. And today we have a very special guest from Ukraine. He's been living here for 5 years, building up a stronghold in Asia for a global art tech company. Mr. Aros.
Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here. Yes, my name is Aros.
Can you tell us some information about your companies and yourself?
Even though the company started like a while ago, around 15 years as a global advertising platform, we started on-ground operations in Asia 5 years ago. And Vietnam, along with Indonesia and Thailand, were first markets for us to explore. At the beginning, I came here just for 2 weeks to participate in the conference, to see the people. We already have a couple of employees here, so we did some training and we did some more interviews with other people. What do you know about Ukraine?
Me? Well, it's a beautiful country, and I used to have a few colleagues from Ukraine, and they are very nice people.
It's a rhetorical question, right? I mean, we all know limited information, and the same people has some bias or some information, I don't know, from internet. But how real this information? How much could I knew about the Vietnam in Ukraine when I never been to Vietnam? When I came to, what I can tell you actually what I knew. I knew about the instant noodles.
Okay.
I knew about the shoes. And maybe that's it. I knew probably about the production, that there is a lot of production here.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum, that's all I knew. But then I come here and I realized that we knew nothing, that everything we knew is like not even like 5% of what is happening. And that made me feel curious. And the first feeling I got when I got here is safety. That's very important, you know. I landed to Ho Chi Minh and I start seeing people, everyone feels safe. Kids going on the streets, it's even smaller. The parents let them go and nothing happening. There's like a hectic traffic, but no accidents. Yeah. Like I barely see accidents even till these days. Why? Because there is actually in all of these cows, it's still the rules. And it's not that too fast, that the speed is not that high.
Yeah.
So when I saw all of that, by the end of the day, I felt comfortable. I felt safe and comfortable. And that made to stay and to explore more, to come for another 2 weeks, and then to another 2 weeks, and then 2 months. I realized, okay, I'm working in Vietnam, and I'm coming just as visitor, and I know that this is a global practice from head office to come to the country and do some training, do some meetings, roadshows, etc., and then come back. And then I realized if I want personally to make and to have Vietnam as the biggest market in MGID, it cannot be this a little travel way. Cannot be done this way. I need to be here. I need to live here. I need to build a team here that duplicates all the operations from the global offices, from marketing, from HR, from business development, from publishers relations, from creatives relations services. And I decided to relocate. I brought my family, wife, 2 children, and we started our life here in the middle of pandemic. And yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that I set that goal, and I'm happy that I stayed.
So many companies choose to establish an office in a country because of the statistics, because of the size of the market. So when you decided to stay here and build up Vietnam as one of the key markets for your company, do you have any statistics? Do you have any forecast? How do you define that vision?
Vietnam market is a big word. For our business, we should look at this at least through 3 different lenses. The number one is the publishers partners, is a news media website that we are partner with. In terms of the publishers, very important is the online population. So I can compare, for example, 2019 and 2023, first 6 months, because 2023 is H1. In 2019, most trusted publishers in Vietnam had around roughly 1.6 million page views, billion page views altogether. 1.6. In 2023, 2.3 billion. So that means that even though the online consumers in Vietnam have new habits of short videos, anything else, they still have good old habit to read news of the trusted publisher. So this habit, not drop it, it's even growing. H1 to H1, 2023 to 2019 is like 40%. That's a big number. I think it's based on the fact that Vietnam has 8 more million people online connected to internet over these 4 years. 8 million. That's a big number. To understand how big this number, we can say that 8 million is around 30% of all online population of my country, Ukraine. So just a third of the country being added as online consumers in Vietnam. I think that's a good number. That's in terms of publishers, some information. So the habit is here. That's the point. The habit is here. News environment is here. Consumers are reading news. Even though online advertising on the news website, display advertising on the news websites, been there for a while, but it's not about this. It's about how do you work with these consumers.
And so that's what I want to ask you more about. Compared to Facebook and Google, programmatic buying system is very well, and the performance metrics are there. Do you have to see any challenge on advertiser spending money more on the news websites? They see it like a traditional thing.
We work with different segments, different industries as advertisers. At the same time, most of the time we work a lot with pharmaceuticals, we work a lot with real estate, and we work a lot with fintech, banks and insurance companies. I can say that on average, for these industries that I mentioned, the average CAGR compound annual growth rate is from 10 to 20% in Vietnam, meaning that these companies that are core of our partners, advertising partners, growing each year 10 to 20% in Vietnam. So that's reflects to the digital spend as well. So that's the basis for us to grow our advertising operations.
Yeah, I see the whole spending for digital advertising is growing because of the audience are growing much faster. But my question is actually, how do you position your solution compared to other programmatic buying solution?
So then the third pillar comes in, which is our industry, specifically advertising technology, because this all united, this whole one ecosystem, publishers, advertisers, and the advertising technology, which is MGID. So the positioning is this one. We are tool, we advertising technology that should be utilized along with other tools to bring the revenue for advertisers and revenue for the publishers. Mobile advertising is growing. So the consumers we just discussed that new consumers connected to internet, and they do not, first of all, they connected to mobile phone. So that's why it is mobile first experience in worldwide, in APAC, and in Vietnam. Based on this, AdTech has solution. Since you are consumer, you are mobile first consumer, right? You taking care of mobile first experience. We will serve you mobile first ad experience. So what we did in the past, around like 9-12 months ago, we introduced a mobile-oriented, mobile-centric rich media solution. The name itself has been on the market for a while, but it's not rich media, what I've seen. It's motion ads. You can do something with advertising. You can drag it, you can swipe it, You can rotate it. You can play game inside of the advertising on display. Because when you spend in time engaging with the advertising content inside of the article, you're actually spending time with the brand. So you're engaging with the brand. So that is the interactive rich media defined by our company and by our industry.
Interesting. You know, I started in the digital advertising industry since 2005. Before that, I had 2 years working as a web designer. But then in 2005, I started to work in one of the first digital agency in Vietnam. And we've been working with banners a lot, like rich media banners, interactive banner, expandable banners, synchronized banners. We make banners synchronized with each other. I still remember one campaign we did for Clearman where we launched in 2007 or 2008, where we feature mini games in a pay takeover manners on VN Express. And we have a .bd game, we have the forms, they can play the games and then fill the form for sampling. Eventually, when social media comes, Facebook, Google, a proactive buying solution arrives, then those kind of experience becomes a past. So it sounds like you are seeing that those experience are coming back with the kind of interactive experience that in the banner, inside the banner, where people can interact right there, experience the brand right there, like experience in a microsite. Is that right? So the trend is coming back?
Half right, half new. Yeah. Because it's same maybe concept about the engagement, but it's different implementation. The banner is the keyword here, because we are not using banners. That's the problem actually. It has gone before. Because the banner is what? Every consumer enters the web page. Everyone knows what is waiting for him on the top right side and on a top of the website. Masthead and sidebar, right?
Yeah.
So everyone just scroll it down because it's people already know that, okay, advertising is waiting for them. They might install the ad block, so on and so forth. So they are scrolling down. So the initial idea of our approach is that we design advertising content that should look like a natural part of this website. So we call it native advertising. The whole industry basically call it native advertising.
Okay.
So the ad unit appears in a time when you're already reading the article, because it is only inside of the article or under the article. So when you read the article, you already spent some time. You're already engaged with the topic. And then you see another content to consume, advertising content to consume. It clearly says advertising, but it still does not stand out as a paid advertising. It's embedded into the content, natural part of the content. And then imagine some of this content engaging in terms of that, for example, when you scrolling, reading, and then you see a hint by finger that you can play with it. So that's the rich media in the environment for this rich media. So we can call it native rich media.
Well, that's a good name. So it's basically, it's not a banner that overlay into your content, but into the content, inside the content,
yes,
where people can interact with it.
Yeah. Yes, that's the whole idea, to take care of the user, because everyone benefit when he consumes the content and he stays on the page. Publisher benefit, the advertiser benefit, and consumer benefit as well, because he's got interested into the topic.
Honestly, I think that those experiences are more effective for both building performance results and also the brand recall as well. So back to the time when we were playing with rich media banners on big news site, it was great to see how people interact with it, and one thematic experience can go across to millions of people. Until we have performance marketing with proactive buying system, where we can only see small contents everywhere, which is good, but we don't see that kind of deep understanding and deep engagement with consumer anymore. So I'm glad that you're bringing back the kind of brand experience that go deeper like that.
Happy to do that. That I think topic for us to discuss is how global advertising, global ad tech, advertising technology coming into the Vietnam and being localized. Because what you right now referring to is the new engagement metrics, new attention economy metric. The attention economy is still new thing, been popular and been acknowledged. Like last year, started acknowledged in the Cannes in France, and then these metrics become more and more popular. And now it's already in MGID and already available in Vietnam. So specifically, marketers who are using this type of brand communication, they can rely on engagement metrics like engagement, engagement time, and engagement through rate. So that's something that happened in between the impression and in between the click. So impression and click, there are a lot of interesting things happen. And it is available right now to get deeper into that, to find out what's really going on with your consumer.
Awesome. This sounds a lot like back to the time when we build those mini sites and mini games inside the banners. Advertiser now spending a lot more on performance marketing. From your point of view, how do you see how do they should balance between performance and brand building from your companies? What is the solution that could help them to, at the same time, having short-term metrics, short-term results, and also building the brand values for a long run?
It's like an old debate, chicken or egg.
Yeah.
What should be ongoing debate around that? It's clearly when the time and the KPI pressures, marketers trying to prioritize more performance rather than the brands. But then after the years, they see somehow the brands recall and then the sales going down as well. Why did that happen? The key metric, the key point for me here is the uniqueness of the brand. When the brand has its own uniqueness, own feature, uniqueness, it's a different, really different from the other solutions, from other products or services. They worked hard to create that value, to create that uniqueness. So then our, as a tech business, our goal is to educate, to show that uniqueness to the audience. Imagine they worked hard to create that uniqueness, and we're showing this with 300 to 50 couple of pictures, and we job done. Cannot be done job that simple way anymore. To show the real uniqueness of the brand, we need to communicate it. We need to deliver this brand message in a unique way that will stand out from the crowd and will stand out this brand from his competitors. That's what we do. That's what actually interactive rich media does. So that's all part of still brand awareness. You cannot expect when you're introducing your product and it has competition, I cannot expect sales grow dramatically. You need to build the awareness, consideration, all of that. It's not random words, and you cannot overcome it. So whatever performance pressure is, or KPI pressure is, you still need to start with upper funnel. Then, of course, there are more interesting stuff happening. How do you work with the audience that you have collected? Because right now there are a lot of different technology that able to help you to collect the audience, like our technology. Yeah, we use pixel technology that we able to collect, segment, and then retarget the audience, send them different message on consideration stage or performance stage. That's what we do. So the balance should be all together. You start upper funnel consideration, and then with the performance retargeting campaigns, which is much more affordable with native advertising that I represent.
Great. In Pencil, we have very similar point of view. So when we approach even for performance marketing campaigns, we always look at what you call uniqueness, but we call it the brand culture. So what make the brand stand out or difference in the markets in terms of tone of voice? So when we develop even performance content series, we always see a consistency between all of the content. And when we do testing, even if we can only choose a few of those content to work, but it's still very consistent. So it doesn't mean that you just develop so many content and hope for effective performance content. It's always have to come top down from what you see the brand stand for. All of the performance marketing solution should be insightful like that. So we look at how we represent the brand for the long run, not just look at every metric on every single piece of content.
To look at the whole picture.
Yeah, look at the whole picture.
At the same time, the whole beauty happens on the performance side as well. It's not only beauty of the upper funnel, it's also beauty of the performance side.
Yeah.
Today we have a lot of more options that attack delivers to us, and now I'm talking about the global attack that can help you to harness these fruits, low fruits or high fruits, all the fruits you can collect. When I'm talking about the performance, I'm thinking that the purchase, we as a normal consumers these days, and probably long before, we do not make our purchase decision overnight. When a consumer is about to buy something, he's been interrupted a lot. And could be a lack of interest, could be his time pressure, and he just not interested anymore. That's the place where attack is helping. What we do, for example, for performance side, I love this part as well. You can build different communication with consumers based on what they actually completed. Which part they completed and which part they do not completed. So you can follow up them, picking up from the place where they left.
Yeah.
Right? So the attack allows you to do this, setting up the conversion per interest, conversion per desire, and conversion per action. That's how the optimization works for performance side of things. That's how we able to deliver the pressure for the marketers, the KPI, the CPA sort of things.
Yeah. And every content that you design for even the lower funnel step, you can always reflect the brand uniqueness, right? Just so that when you do retargeting, remarketing, they always see who they are engaging with.
Right.
That will help them to recall the brand and build up their memory on the brand for the long run.
Of course, because as we explained at the beginning, you launch your brand communication on upper funnel with the idea to stand out, and then you follow up, and then even though he didn't purchase or she didn't purchase overnight, you still have strategies how to work with those consumers.
Yeah.
So that's maybe simplified, but still part of the funnel that we are building inside of one DSP platform available for marketers in Vietnam.
I think first of all, they always want to know how many people they can reach on the platform, and the system precisely help them to reach the right people. So for SME, they don't have much money. Especially a lot of the things need experiments. You got to decide not based on market research, but based on testing. So do you have any advice, any recommendation to SME how to do effective testing and effective investment?
I think it is possible to start with a performance advertising tool like MGID. When you setting up the pixel at the very end, you open your creative strategy for the suggestions from our side, from our team. And because we have a local team in here and who works on a daily basis with different audiences, with different segments, they can provide the good advice and insights. And as a part of the service, it comes that we actually assign the person to each SME, so that they do not do a common mistakes and do not fall into the common traps. I can say. So it starts like this. There should be around 5,000 landing page visits, clicks that you receive initially to get your understanding what is converting for you, which segment. Because as you shared, not all the marketers know who is their audiences precisely, what are their media consumption habits. So since they don't know, it comes to the sort of A/B testing when you need to define which ad unit has better traction, which widget has better traction. And because we have this tracking and optimization, we can go down to each visuals, down to each page, to the article, and understand which one performs better. So collecting this information, we able to understand the insight and the target audience better. So what is converting, what is performing for the certain advertisers. That's what we do. And this whole thing happens with this initial investment, even like $1,000 or $2,000. That is what is available in Vietnam based on the global technology.
So thank you for coming today. I enjoyed the chat with you. We share a lot of similar point of views, and I learned more on how we can leverage global ad tech platforms. Last but not least, please give our audience your advice on how they can start.
They can start. I think the marketers should think of the uniqueness of the product or the service and the offer.
Uniqueness.
If they have something not different from the competitors, should not expect anything else.
Okay.
So uniqueness is the starting point of your offer. But then the real work is actually get started. That you need to do testing, experiments, to have mindset of experiments.
Nice.
Each channel is different and requires different set of visuals. So when I'm talking experiments, I'm talking about the different visuals and different landing pages that you're about to promote. So when you trying to use same everywhere to save the cost, I understand that. But it's not about the uniqueness and it's not about the experiment.
Okay, so the two keywords that form your advice is uniqueness and experiment.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.